Soak it all in.
It's like four or five royal families. Okay, and you could say Queen Elizabeth have a little bit to do with it too. That branch there, but it's like these families that actually own uh, and runs. You know what I'm saying?
So you're trying to say that it's these Illuminati bloodline families that's controlling stuff,
They're not
or who?
Illuminati. They not even the
And yet you
Illuminati.
can see their influence in history all down through the years. Recently there was a book, Holy Blood, Holy Grail. Well, I say recent, it's not been recent, but it became a bestseller. And then the authors made a trilogy of books, Messianic Legacy and The Temple and the Lodge, and Pageant and Lay and Lincoln were the authors of that trilogy of books. And they go in and discuss how all of the royalty and aristocrats of Europe are descendant from one single bloodline. Now, of course, then when you go to look at our presidents, you find that 11 of our presidents, at least 11, are part of that bloodline.
At least 11 presidents are descendants from European royalty.
Right, the Merovingian dynasty, at least 11. And a man recently, you may have heard of him,
Yes.
says that he has the genealogy charts to show that all of our presidents were related. I have, in the talks that I've given in the last couple of days here in Austin, I showed a genealogy chart that I have, which shows 12 of the American presidents very closely related.
Okay, Fritz. Well, you talked about how these Illuminati families, when they have power, and we can see that, then they go into hiding. Most people would say that the Templars, the Knights Templars, were one of these Illuminati structures. Could you explain basically how they supposedly went into hiding? Because you hear about the Templars, they had quite a long reign, and then the French turned against them, and then they were outlawed by the Pope, and then they just disappeared out of history.
Right, and but they didn't. Although the Pope outlawed them, they were able to flee, and initially they went to places in Spain and Portugal, and from there they boarded ships and they sailed to Scotland. And there was a decision made to give Scotland its independence, and the Knights Templars that landed in Scotland then in the Battle of Bannockburn helped the Scottish gain their independence, and then became very prominent in the affairs of Scotland.
Well, you know, Fritz, I saw the movie Braveheart, and I don't remember them being any Templar Knights in that movie.
Yes, that's true, but the movie ended before the Battle of Bannockburn.
Oh, all right, I understand now. Okay. Well, Fritz, now that we know basically a little bit about the Illuminati and about how they structure their system, can you give us a little bit of the mindset of these Illuminati families? I mean, why do these families, these 13 families and other families, feel that they have the right or the authority to control almost every aspect of our lives?
These families, since antiquity, have believed that they were gods, and of course they have been worshipped in many periods as gods. And they continue to pass that prideful belief down from one generation to another. They believe that they're a superior being. Oftentimes, when I've seen quotes by these people or heard people relate what they heard, you see that they refer to us as ants or cattle, and they basically have the idea that they were born to be gods and rule us, and we were born to serve them.
Okay, so they felt that they were gods and they were worshipped as such in ancient times, but with the rise of Christianity and things such as the Inquisition and maybe even the Reformation, shouldn't the people of history have stomped all of this out?
They made a decision that they would use Christianity for their own ends. So they established churches that they themselves controlled, and they went behind the scenes and set up a lot of fronts. So what you see, for instance, as proof of what I'm talking about, is at the end of World War II, there was a commission sent around Europe to examine all of the churches and cathedrals that had been damaged by the bombing, and they found something like 80% of these churches had hidden occult altars underneath the Christian altar. That wasn't exposed until they were damaged. In other words, what was happening is these churches were built on ley lines, and satanic rituals had been secretly practiced in these Christian churches all down through the Middle Ages and up to present times. These were sacred sites that the churches were built on. In fact, some of them were built on very sacred Druid sites and things like this. And so the Christian churches were simply functioning as a front so that these people could do their human sacrifices and so forth in secret. And of course, then they became pillars of society with their multiple personalities. They could have a front personality that was the ideal Christian, and on the Sabbat, on Friday night, they could be sacrificing somebody, and perhaps on Sunday morning, they could be the reverend that was giving the sermon. There's a number of other proofs that one can or evidences of what was going on. If you go throughout Europe, you'll see a large number of the churches had winged reptilian gargoyles put on them, including something that's really bizarre. They would have people, statues of people bent over how do you describe it on television? They're bent over taking a dump, you know.
And this is on the side of a cathedral?
This is on sides of churches that were built, the statues built, naked people showing their bare bottoms. And if you ask, why did these Masonic trade guilds build gargoyles and people taking an excrement, you're told they did it for Christ.
And the word Catholic itself means universal. And so they just went out into their areas and just absorbed all of the local religions of whatever land they were at.
That's very well said. There were a number of mystery religions that bestowed their authority into the Catholic Church. For instance, the mystery religion of Dagon had which was the fish god, and the Pope's hat, his mitre hat, was the crown of authority of the head of the mystery religion of Dagon. Mm-hmm. So he at one point in history was given the authority to be head of that mystery religion, and so yeah, the Catholic Church was a good way to also absorb a lot of the paganism, right, besides being a front for the more serious hardcore. All I'm doing is saying a lot of these symbols have histories beyond what the Christian Church thinks about. Mm-hmm. You'll find a lot of well, for instance, I have personally with my own eyes seen a good number, or I don't know good is the word for it, but I've seen a number of churches with the Masonic Knights Templar logo on the side of their churches.
And what logo is that?
It's a cross and a crown.
Cross and crown.
Right.
Okay.
It's a particular, it's designed a certain way, and it's very clear that it's a Masonic symbol. And there's a lot of other symbols. I've seen all-seeing eyes. There's Catholic churches that have the Illuminati all-seeing eye, you know, that's in the pyramid.
We'll talk about it another time. And if I cannot do it openly, I will do it secretly. So that is what a Jesuit swears. This is the famous Pontifical Gregorian University in Rome, the most prestigious Catholic university in the world. The Jesuits, in all their enclaves, have their figures in caves. Now, in paganism, all the deities come out of the cave, and they have the letters IHS, which actually stand for Isis, Horus, Set, which is the Egyptian Trinity. They, of course, say it means Iesus hominum salvator, Jesus the Savior of men, but it doesn't. It means IHS, Isis, Horus, Set. And their symbol is the triangle with the all-seeing eye in it for this deity. They also use the pillar, the stella, if you like. They have the symbol of the triangle with the eye in a circle, which is also the symbol used in the New Age movement. And we saw that Gary Carr says that Freemasonry controls the New Age movement and the Jesuits control the Freemasonry, or created it. This is the University of the Jesuits in Prague. On top of it they have Atlas, not Jesus Christ. If you go to a more modern Jesuit enclave like this one in Germany, I visited this. I'm quite cheeky sometimes, there I am. And took a picture, and inside they have this picture of Christ. This is not Christ, this is Atlas, holding the world on top of his shoulders, disguised. They have these symbols up against the wall. There, this symbol is the symbol of Hermes. If you take away the cross, then you have the symbol of Isis. This is paganism at its best. And these symbols over here are nothing. Here it is, Jesuit Kirche, when it was built, etc. And their symbolism, Maria, the M is the Masonic M, the triangle, Ria, the goddess. Here is a church in Germany, a cathedral. Inside you will see this circle with a cross in it, the crossed swords, symbol of all symbols used also in Freemasonry. Now if you go back to ancient Assyria, that was a very prominent cross. It was the Maltese cross. It comes from ancient paganism. They have the symbols of the star over here, two stars one over the other, or two crosses one over the other. They have the compass, they have the moon with a disc in it or a star in it, which is the symbol that Islam uses, for example. They have the solar calendar and the triple crown. All of these are used by the papacy. Upside down crosses represent victory over Christ. Hammers and compasses and sickles, these are symbols that are prevalent in the world. There's Jesus standing above the skull and crossbones, which is a symbol of Jupiter, the god Jupiter, who is a symbol, of course, who is Lucifer. Upside down crosses again. This is a very important cathedral in Europe, in Germany, where all the political leaders come together. If you go there, you will have Janus, the two-headed one. And then you have the statue so-called of David. But of course it isn't David, it is the god Pan, because he has a pan flute in his hand, and David didn't play a pan flute. So I went to look for the dark side of Pan, because there's a light side and a dark side, and I found them. There he is, the hoofed one in the same cathedral. So they hide their occult symbolism. If you enter into the hallway, you find this over here. This is the god Anubis. It's got nothing to do with Christianity. There you have him as well. Plus you have the phoenix rising from the ashes. Plus you have the symbol of Jupiter and a whole host of other symbols over there. And in their side chapel, you have all the signs of the zodiac serving the various deities like Mars and Aquarius, etc. And the doorknob is a yin-yang. This has nothing to do with Christianity. They use the symbol of the compass and Jupiter and the PX symbol over there, which you will find in virtually every single Christian denomination upon the face of the earth. The phoenix rising from the ashes, the peacock, all symbols of Lucifer. Here you have the PX with a circle with a dot in it, and you say to yourself, but isn't that a symbol of Christianity? No, this is a symbol of Horus. This has got nothing to do with Christianity. They use pine cones. Let's ask Albert Mackey, 33-degree Freemason, to tell us what the symbol means. The point within the circle is an interesting and important symbol in Freemasonry. The symbol is really a beautiful but somewhat abstruse allusion to the old sun worship, and introduces us for the first time to that modification of it among the ancients, the worship of the phallus. So it's a pretty filthy symbol at that. It deals with male organs. Wow. So that comes from the horse's mouth. So that's what it means. Now what's the PX mean? Let's go to the best Masonic source in the world, Morals and Dogma, page 292. And in case you don't believe me, I photocopied it so that you can see it. There you can see the symbol. Can you see that? It is the staff of Osiris. On the medal of Constantinople, in hoc signat eris, whatever the inscriptions. And then some other interesting things. So this is the staff of Osiris. And then it goes through the mystic Tau and the crosses and the stars of David. And then he uses this one as well. Interesting symbol. He says the vestment of the priest of Horus were covered with these crosses. That's a Maltese cross. Remember that I showed it to you on the Assyrian king? Now who wears that on his vestments? Well, let's have a look. Oops, there it is. Who's wearing it? The Pope is wearing it. So what is he? He must be the priest of Horus. So to the outside world, it seems like Christianity, but to the inner circle, it's occultism. On the floor of the cathedral in London, you have the tricolour, which is the triple yin yang. And what does that mean? Well, let's go and ask the sources themselves. Celtic version of the yin yang. That's what it is. The tricolour, the sea, good luck, cauldron, Celtic goddess, the goddess of wisdom and witchcraft. Who was enthroned in the French Revolution? Goddess of reason, witchcraft, reason, all these things, same deity. On the floor of the same cathedral, you find the mystic Tau. What does the Tau represent? Let's ask another Mason, Ward. He says it's the symbol of the male creative side of the deity, sign language of the mysteries. So again, it has a sexual connotation. What's it doing on the floor of a cathedral? So the Jesuits are the heirs of the occult religion, and they control.
Speaking of the all-seeing eye, our local cable outlet, basically who helps us put on this show here, Time Warner in Austin, their symbol for their corporation is an eye. Isn't that kind of funny?
Yes, well, it all ties together. It's an enormous thing that's to someone who hasn't been initiated into who hasn't studied this, the whole the subject is so vast and so incredible that it's really difficult to absorb. That's why I really strongly encourage someone to begin by reading the Bloodlines of the Illuminati book, where I have the time to lay things out systematically, so you can see that this thing started in antiquity. These people controlled everything back then. They never gave up control, although they have worked through trade guilds and the Masonic Lodge and other things. They've always had the power. They never gave up the power. And when this country was created, we thought that we were getting away from the aristocracies and the kings of Europe. But lo and behold, like I said, I can document that 11 of our presidents are related to the royal family in the United Kingdom.
Boy, I tell you, Fritz, this all sounds so incredible, just like you said. When you were doing research for this book, how much documentation did you actually find which supports your outlook and beliefs on the Illuminati?
Well, I've done many years of research, And I was just joking with somebody that I was visiting this morning because when I moved into my new house, I had been telling people I had 100 boxes of papers, you know, documentation, newspapers and stuff that I collected. But after I had filed those away and I counted, I had 140 boxes left. So a lot of what I have learned was because I've worked for years with people that are trying to escape the Illuminati, and they helped my learning curve greatly. They point me in the right direction. And a lot of information is right there if we scratch below the surface. But they realize that there are very few people like me that are going to be looking in the right direction and scratching under the surface. So, and they don't have time to hide it all. So there is an enormous amount of information out there that relates to these families. And I just am that type of person to plow through enormous amounts of information. That was just, I guess, the gift that God gave me.
So what you're saying then, basically, Fritz, is that the information is out there, and really all you have to do is begin to search for it. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe that a lot of the readers, once they have read my Bloodlines of the Illuminati book, and then once they maybe have read some of the other books that I have and gotten a basic understanding of what's going on, they're going to start seeing these things all around them, and they can teach themselves, and they can further their understanding on their own without my help.
Okay, Fritz. Well, let's jump a little bit inside of the book, okay? I know you mentioned as one of the Illuminati families, the Kennedy family. Now, with all of their recent tragedy in the past few decades, how can you still feel like the Kennedys are major contributors to this whole power structure?
There's definitely been some power struggles, and the Kennedys have been on the short end of the power struggles. That's true. But after John F. Kennedy was assassinated, and his brother, Ted Kennedy still was an extremely powerful senator because of his tenure and all of the committees he was on and everything. He was one of the most powerful men in the United States. So that immediate family, you know, continues to be called by the news media as America's royal family. But let's understand that the Kennedy bloodline is far greater than just John F. Kennedy's family.
Well, what do you mean, Fritz? I think most people would, when they think of the Kennedys, they think, oh, well, you had John's father, Jack was it, and he made all his money. Basically, you hear rumors that he made most of his money through Prohibition, and then he made a killing off of the stock market crash. And really, that's when we start to hear about the Kennedys. Are you trying to tell me that they have a history that goes further back?
Yes, they have a history that goes way further back. In fact, the Kennedys are descendants from Brian Boru, who was the first Kennedy, and he was one of the most significant kings in European history. So you see that they're tied back to royalty. In fact, John F. Kennedy's sister married into British royalty. So these are just not commoners that grew up in a log cabin. But they're
not. There's such thing no damn Illuminati. Ain't no such thing.
There definitely was an Illuminati, but
or law enforcement inspections of any kind. That was just the beginning. Communism, ladies and gentlemen, has been a vital factor in American politics since the very birth of our republic. In the early days, communism was called Illuminism. They were called Jacobins. It was promoted and propagandized by a secret conspiratorial organization that was named the Order of Illuminati. And this is not conjecture, it is historical fact. It was dedicated professedly to bringing about a new social order, or New Deal. But actually, ladies and gentlemen, its purpose was to overthrow governments throughout the world by revolution and to gain for its bosses worldwide dictatorship, one world, with everyone and everything under the control of the order. And you can sit back and yell conspiracy theorist all you want to. It is the nature of man to conspire. It is the nature of organizations to conspire. The President and the White House just recently acknowledged this as they issued a press release accusing the right wing of conspiring in the press against the President. President William Jefferson Clinton is a conspiracy theorist by his own definition now. The left, socialist liberals who have been calling us conspiracy theorists for all this time are now conspiracy theorists themselves. The truth is, ladies and gentlemen, conspiracy is a part of all political processes, all organizations and agendas that have ever existed upon the face of this earth. Many of you conspire with your fellow workers against other fellow workers in order that you get promotions above and ahead of them, or bonuses, or recognition, or the best real estate deal. Conspiracy is a part of life. It is a fact, whether you like it or not. And if you have a dictionary, I suggest that you look up the word conspiracy, look up the word theory, and then begin to screw your head on straight and live in the real world. Because this conspiracy that I am talking about tonight is one of the most deeply rooted American political traditions that has ever existed. The members of the organization were as fanatic in their zeal as their followers, present-day communists. This fanaticism was passed down from generation to generation, much like any other religion, for in fact it is a religion practiced behind closed doors in temples without windows. As a result, the Illuminist, Socialist, Communist creed was handed down from father to son, mother to daughter, and it became a tradition in many old American families in much the same manner as the traditional adherents of many of those families to the Masonic order, or the Presbyterian Church, or Catholicism. Most people belong to the religion that they attend because their parents did. Most people are Democrats because their parents were, and for no other reason. And you all know that. This explains the preponderance of its adherents on the present political scene. There is no difference between the Republican and Democratic Party in Washington, D.C., in the United States of America today. Not one nickel's worth of difference, ladies and gentlemen. Doesn't matter who you vote for, they're all operating for the same end. World socialism.
It's not a
it's a Freemason that's on here right now that's named Javon Franco. He's a Freemason, and he'll tell you there was an Illuminati. There was the Illuminati of Avignon, and there was the Illuminati of Bavaria. There were definitely Illuminati groups out there. And
they don't call themselves the Illuminati. They call themselves the Aluminum ones. And also the reason why they call themselves the Aluminum ones, because you actually don't see them. They don't be around. You don't even know who they is. You see what I'm saying? But I don't like to talk about stuff like that on the internet. So let's talk about something else. What else you want to talk about?
You familiar that a lot of these people in head positions are Freemasons, right?
If you say so.
I mean, what is it? What are they doing?
Because you still have different organizations that probably do some of the same similar stuff that we do, but they no part of us. They just a whole different other body.
So
and
you
they have no ties.
coincidence?
They don't have no ties to us, because you got a lot of other fraternities that's out there. And you got a lot of fraternities that have different handshakes too. Okay. So you just can't say that that's a handshake of a Freemason.
Are you familiar with this symbol, sir?
No, I don't know nothing about that symbol.
John G. Jones, are you familiar with this symbol, sir?
I don't know nothing about that one.
You still there, John? He might
I
just
mean,
be.
I don't even know what that is.
Do you know what this symbol is, Mr. Javon Franco? And good afternoon to you, sir.
How's it going, man? It's the secret master sign of the fourth degree of Scottish Rite. But
Thank
I
you.
think I
Thank
believe
you.
that York
Somebody
Rite does that.
knows. All right, so since somebody actually knows what the symbol is, I can go furthermore into doing this right here. Oh, we got the Big Diesel. Big Diesel, Shaq. Now listen, he's not the only one that's finna make this symbol. Watch this. I'm about to make this. Ooh, bam. Now, if you were around during that time, you should know who these two dudes is. I wasn't around during that time.
I was around during that time.
Oh, but what are they doing? The same symbol that I just shown. But
Well, I
listen,
wasn't around when they time, but they was on TV when I was young. Go ahead, put it like that.
all right. Well, look here. I'm pretty sure you know about it in Doris Day. But what is she doing? She doing the same thing.
So that's a Masonic sign right there.
It's an occult sign.
Oh, and the coat sign.
It's to show their allegiance.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like I said, some Mason tried to say that this is a coincidence, but I showed him at least like 10 people. And he still kept saying it's a
So
coincidence.
if the teacher in the classroom, she put her hand on her mouth like that, say, shh, she's a coat too.
No, brother. You confusing it, brother. These people are taking
Basically, what they saying is just hush your mouth. Shh.
the teacher. The teacher not looking for attention or a picture when she's telling somebody to shh. She's telling them to shh because they're interrupting the classroom. They're not interrupting the classroom. They're
So
not even in the
basically,
classroom.
this picture I'm looking at, he like everybody talking about me. Hey, shh, be quiet. And basically, what
Yeah,
I
you still.
see, that's what I
Yeah,
see.
so you think it's a coincidence? You think it's a coincidence?
That's what I see.
That's what.
It's a lot of people do that. It's a lot of people do other stuff, but it doesn't mean they are part of Freemasonry, my guy.
Okay, so all right. So since you're gonna do that, I'm gonna show you something now, and
I had
you
to,
may try to
man.
say
Had to.
that you've never heard it or you never seen this before. So I'm gonna ask Brother Jay Franco. Now, are you familiar with this symbol, Louisiana?
I don't know what that is.
You said you don't.
Mm-mm.
Go figure. John, do you know what this symbol is, sir? He's still out in the coma. Okay, Javon Franco, sir, are you familiar with this symbol?
I believe it was part of the York Rite. It could have been the Mark Master degree or something like that.
Or would you better call it the hidden hand?
It's not the only organization that used it back in
That's
the.
what I'm trying to tell him. Man, brother, I'm keep telling
The
him.
signs are just, bro. The signs are just modes of recognition, really, bro. It's not. They have and they apply to some type of symbolism of the ritual work, but if you don't know what they mean, they're just simple signs, you know.
No, but I understand what you guys are saying. I know that other secret societies use certain symbols and
It
grips.
look like he taking a pen out of. He look like he taking a pen out of his cup pocket right there. That's what it look like to me.
Well, what I'm saying, Javon Franco, is these people are not coincidentally doing this. Like, no one is going to rub their eye 5 times coincidentally. That seven, or even like better yet, lightning doesn't hit 7 times in one place. It's let alone scientifically known that it barely might strike the second place twice. So my thing is, no one is doing this coincidentally. These people are doing this because they're showing to whatever society they belong to,
But
Masonic or non-Masonic.
wherever, just like you said, so you got to keep it like that. See, I like what you said right there. Whatever fraternity that they're a part of.
But no, you guys are trying to say that some of these people are not Masons.
That's
Some of
what
these
I'm saying.
people
And
are
what I'm
Masons.
saying, every frat got a different sign or signal. Every frat, just not Freemason. every frat. And the people that you bringing up, ain't got nothing to do with Freemasons.
All right, so then would you say that Ashton Kutcher is not a Freemason? Because I see him plain as day wearing his support. He's showing his support with his wife or ex, whatever they're supposed to be now. So, like I said, whether it's non-Masonic or
but what he
Masonic,
doing? Is he doing any?
No, but I'm just saying he is a Freemason, and I can show other people that are accurately Freemasons.
It ain't time for her to take him.
What about him? Would you say that's not a Freemason handshake?
Bro, but at the end of the day, okay, there's signs that these fraternities use, but are you trying to understand what they mean? Are you trying to at least get behind these, these symbolic modes of recognition, or?
I'm just pointing them out to show people that there are people in like the Bible says in, excuse me, the Bible says in Ephesians 6:12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against spiritual wickedness in high places. These high places that they're talking about is what we're seeing right now, what I'm showing you. Everyone that I've shown you, they're not no small fish. We on this panel are small fish, average Joe people. We will probably never make it to the scale or mountain that these people have reached. And that's just the honest to God truth, like I said, including myself. So we have to understand who are these high places that the Bible is talking about. Obviously, it's not us. Obviously, it's not you lower ranking Masons. It's these people who are in these higher societies or higher grades of classes, if you want to say that.
It makes our people like it. They keep playing that same song. The same song keep playing, you start to like it. You start to get probed with it. You start to get cloned with it. So then before the clone exists, then it just takes over. It takes over the human body. It takes over the spirit. It takes over the soul. And therefore, behold, that's what you got.
Still out here doing these songs, you're still on tour.
I do, but I don't take it for granted.
Why do you still do it? Why are you still out here?
Well, it goes back to the destiny thing. I made a bargain with it, a long time ago, and I'm holding up my end.
What was your bargain?
To get where I am now.
Should I ask who you made the bargain with?
with the chief commander.
On this earth?
And on this earth, and then in the world we can't see.
If your ultimate goal is to be famous, then you're gonna do a lot to get there. Like sign your name in blood in a contract with the devil. Like you're gonna end up on a one-way street and it's going nowhere. Like that's just the truth. I've seen so many people like forsake their moral code and their value systems just for a little bit of fame, and it's not worth it at the end of the day. It's really not worth it.
I already know the answers, but I've been gone for 5 years. I like to know if certain things are still the way they were when I left.
I sold my soul to the devil. I know it's a crappy deal. Lisa came with a few toys like a Happy Meal.
Explain some of this when I'm done, because you're not going to understand it all unless you know something about music. I said, do they still take the master to the temple room? Dave said, yeah. I said, do they still have the Colvin conjure demons into the master? He said, of course.
Masterpiece is right in there. All we have to do is step into that magic circle and the masterpiece is ours. Are you ready?
I kind of sang about what was going on in my life at 15, and that's how I got introduced to the music industry. I swear I wanted to be like the Amy Grant of music, but it didn't work out, and so I sold my soul to the devil.
Anywho, so yeah, I was going to school to be a vet tech, and I was into my studies, getting good grades, and you know what screwed it all up? Was this one guy, he broke my heart, and I was like, cool, thanks. I was like, now I have to do something pretty ridiculous and insane with my life. So why not sell my soul and go on Jersey Shore? And that's what I did. And you know what? It's been awesome.
What do you know about it though? Is that something that, I mean, I used to read about that stuff when I was incarcerated.
Right, that's what it seems like. A lot of people feel that knowledge.
Yeah, the Illuminati, the Freemasons. I used to read about this stuff, and for the most part, they do exist. And it's been around for thousands of years. Freemasons built this country. That's a fact. You gotta understand, if they are a part of it, they're never going to admit it anyway.
So the times you know her, you're entertaining a spirit. Or entertained by a spirit. Yeah, true definition of entertain, detain so something can enter you.
When they meet me and they speak with me, they're expecting Sasha. And I'm really kind of shy, and not really shy, but more reserved, and nothing like Sasha. But I guess I wouldn't be very entertaining on stage. So Sasha comes out, and she's fearless. She can do things that I cannot do when I'm in rehearsal. Right before I performed, I raised my hands up. And it was kind of the first time I felt something else come into me.
I am misunderstood a lot at times. My music, my image, people have their whole thing about me, whether it be me being a devil worshiper or whatever. Besides them reading into my hand over my eye on my album cover.
Why is your hand over your eye on your album?
Because I'm a devil worshiper. What are you talking about?
The Mouseketeers. We've got Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, Justin Timberlake.
These were all poor little children that were brainwashed together in a Disney program.
What they will do is use these people in high profile.
There's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad.
Just, I don't like, I don't like watching myself.
Yeah.
I prefer the experience. I mean, making the film is great.
Right.
The process is all fine, but then he's up there.
Right.
All right.
Then he's up there.
I have to ask you this. So many mothers in my audience have said to please ask you this question. Yeah. Why do you always grab your crotch?
Why do I grab my crotch?
Yeah, why? We think you got a thing with your crotch going on
I think
here.
it happens subliminally. When I dance, if you're a dancer, you're just interpreting the sounds and the accompaniment of the music. If there's a driving bass, you become the bass. If there's a cello, if there's a string, you become that. So you become the emotion of what that sound is. Okay? So if I'm doing a move and then I go bam and I grab myself, it's the music that compels me to do it. It's not saying I'm getting ready to grab down there and it's not a great place. You don't think about it, it just happens. Sometimes I'll look back at the footage and I'll go, did I do that?
They actually belong to these Masonic or non-Masonic groups. And they have an agenda to push. I've shown you, Javon, what these people have said. Let me show you again. What is this man saying, people? And he belongs to Skull and Bones too.
In the U.S., Occupy protesters have descended on a quiet California redwood retreat, where some of the world's elite gather every year. Demonstrators say the 2 weeks, officially portrayed as a time of rest and relaxation, is really a chance to discuss plans for the world's future.
Straight from the San Francisco airport, I headed to Monte Rio, a city with beautiful redwoods and picturesque coastlines. The perfect getaway for the world's rich and powerful. And in fact, every year, CEOs, media moguls, and high-level politicians flock here to the Bohemian Grove's secluded campout.
Their motto here is that weaving spiders come not here, which they claim means there's no business discussions, it's just a vacation for the wealthy men.
Activist has a rare Grove yearbook, issued every decade, showing everything from men in drag to high-profile politicians giving speeches. The book shows George W. Bush and his father giving lakeside talks, along with Presidents Jimmy Carter and Richard Nixon. Others who have attended are David Brooks of the New York Times, along with CEOs from CNN and Fox, Jimmy Buffett, David Rockefeller, and Henry Kissinger. Also has an official 2005 membership list of Grove attendees.
Your typical warmongers, George Bush Sr., Colin Powell, Richard Pearl.
We know what you're doing. We know what goes on in here.
An event with so little transparency has bred theories, some of them pretty wild, about what goes on the inside. Especially at the cremation of care ritual, where Grove members burn a coffin effigy to a 40-foot owl.
Haven't you ever seen the Bohemian Grove footage where Alex Jones filmed all these elites dressing up like druids and worshiping the owl god Moloch? That's real, dude.
I
They
know.
really do that.
I know.
They do that. But what are you eye rolling, motherfucker?
I'm rolling that the Illuminati doesn't
Brian,
control the world because
Brian.
nobody's that organized.
Well, maybe they're not. But did
There
you
you
ever
go.
see
There
that
you go.
Bohemian Grove thing? That is absolutely 100%
So what?
real.
I
No,
know.
it's not. So what, Brian? It's people dressing up like wizards, saying some
weird,
secret
dude.
ritual.
I mean, they control.
It's
weird,
burning an effigy in front of an owl
Same
god.
with Burning Man.
Bro, this is so different than Burning Man. It's the government. It's people at the highest levels of banks. It's all these different famous people. There's a bunch of crazy, really rich, influential people that went to that Bohemian Grove and dressed up like druids and they chanted things.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen it?
Yes.
Have you been there for the ceremony with the cremation of care?
Frankly, I don't think that's something I need to talk to you about.
Really?
That's right.
Well, I'm Alex Jones, and I snuck in there in 2000. I'm the guy that blew it wide open. We got the video. It's been on national TV.
Well, I disrespect you for that.
I'll tell you a couple of stories about fraud. The Bohemian Club. Did you say the Bohemian Club? That's where all those rich Republicans go up and stand naked against redwood trees, right? I've never been to the Bohemian Club, but you ought to go. It'd be good for you. Get some fresh air.
What's this picture of?
Actually, don't remember.
See you at the Bohemian Grove. You told me that I'm delusional.
You know, it's nice to know that there's some people who have fantasy lives that have nothing to touch with. Nice to meet you. Bye-bye.
So you were there. Can we talk to you about it, sir?
Yes, sir. First question? I'm sorry. You gave a keynote speech at the Bohemian Grove Club, sir. A club which openly has mock child sacrifices and satanic worship, sir. Can you answer my question, sir, please?
I was very pleased. I was very pleased with my performance in the debate. It was a good debate.
What about the Bohemian Grove Club, though, sir? That's very important. They do mock human sacrifices there, sir, and you reported being there.
I was very pleased with my performance in the debate.
Sir, why did you ignore my question, sir? Can we have open dialogue? If you want to be president, let's have an open dialogue about this. You just ignored me, sir.
It was the night of July 15th, 2000. Mike Hansen and I were about to attempt the first ever successful infiltration of the Bohemian Grove. Others have tried and failed. No one has ever actually made it in and out with video evidence. After careful planning, we decided the best tactic would be to insert ourselves about a half mile from the main entrance into the heavily wooded area, entering the gorge by stealth and getting into the main parking area, From there, we posed as Bohemian Club members, thus entering the inner sanctums of the New World Order. After landing in San Francisco at the International Airport, we traveled through the city, across the Golden Gate Bridge into deeper Northern California. From there north to Santa Rosa, going west on Highway 12, the gateway to Bohemian Grove. Well, here we are, folks, turning on to the Bohemian Highway and Bohemian Grove. We're going to find out what in the New World Order is going on here. There's a guard gate right over there, a small guard gate, and then back further, an even more elaborate guard gate with surveillance cameras, you name it. Not a through road, ladies and gentlemen, right up here in Northern California. What do you think about Bohemian Grove?
I used to work there.
You used to work there?
Yeah.
And now you work at Camp Meeker?
No, I don't work. I live in Camp Meeker.
Oh, you live there?
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Did you ever watch the Cremation of Care?
No.
What'd you do at the?
I just worked there.
But I mean, you never saw him march around in the red robes? And
No.
Oh, really? That doesn't go on.
But yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
I don't know. We always hear there's like big, fat, rich guys with prostitutes there.
Really?
Yeah.
What about the owl and the rituals?
I don't know anything about it.
Never heard about the rituals?
Rituals.
Ritual killing of a human sacrifice of a human?
Nope. Never heard of it.
What would you think if that was going on?
I think it's pretty weird. Wouldn't be that surprised. I mean, it is our government after all.
What'd you do, work there?
Worked there, yeah.
Oh, it's a beautiful area?
Yeah, very beautiful. It's got big trees.
Have you ever been there for the Cremation of Care?
No.
So you've never been there for the rituals?
No.
You ever heard about them?
Yes.
What have you heard they do, sir?
Nothing. They got that tree that looks like an owl.
Tree that looks like an owl?
Tree or rock, it's a carving, or it's where the stage is.
But have you heard what they do during that?
No, I have no idea what they do.
What would you say if we told you they burn a human being in effigy? They don't really do it. They burn it in effigy.
I don't know what that means.
Well, they have like a dummy that looks like a person under a black blanket. They take it up there and burn it.
No, I don't know.
Pretty weird.
Huh?
Pretty weird.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
Here's just one of many signs sporting French with skulls adorned with other trappings of death. We also saw signage with Latin and other ancient languages. Here you can see the bottom of the stone owl with the altar and the eternal flame, a Aladdin lamp style urn that continually burns year around, we're told. Keep in mind the scale of the idol compared to those giant redwood trees. It's at least 45 feet tall. This is America, and it's been going on for 120 plus years in Northern California. This is not some new fad. We're talking about something deadly serious with its roots in ancient history. He says it is a big idea, NWO, where diverse nations are drawn together in common cause. Only the United States has both the moral standing and means to back it up.
What his father, a phrase his father used, I think only once, and hasn't been used since, and that is a New World Order.
This was a stirring address, in my view, shorter than his father's speech when he announced the New World Order.
And it's only now that we can begin to understand that the world order that globalization brings and what it's going to look like, it's driven forward now not just by the balance of military strength, the Cold War times, or ordinary political power. It's being driven forward by a seismic shift in economic power that we see around us.
We've got to give them a stake in creating the kind of world order that I think all of us would like to see.
Thousands of people gathered to hear Barack Obama deliver key foreign policy speech on his current European tour. The Democratic presidential hopeful laid out his vision for America's place in a new world order, saying he was speaking as a proud citizen of the United States and a fellow citizen of the world.
Too many bad ideas. Rand Paul, Kentucky senator, and he joins me now. Should the American people be scared when the richest people in the entire world get together at a swanky conference and hatch these crazy ideas about how to make our lives better?
Well, you know, if they really cared, they could have ridden with me. I was on a plane this morning. I was A category on Southwest Airlines, and, you know, hey, that's something. Wasn't a private jet, but they could have saved. When you're on a private jet, they're spending 5 times as much of a carbon footprint. So if they really cared about that, they could ride on commercial airlines, but they aren't. They're elitist. But the other real danger here that's even more danger than all their phony caring about carbon footprint, the real danger is this. Look how bad your government is in a country where you get to vote for these people. This would be a government, a world government, where you don't get to vote on anybody. This is everybody's worst nightmare. The bureaucracy that we have trouble in our United States because we don't get to vote on them, we vote indirectly. Can you imagine the one world bureaucracy of all these elitists and their private jets that would rule our country and we wouldn't get to vote? So I'm dead set against this. And they used to call people who talked about one world government, they used to say, oh, it's a conspiracy. And we would always say, no, it's in their mission statement. They say it at every meeting. That's what they're for.
Your Excellency, are you ready for a new world order?
Ceasefire negotiations need to be based on the principles of the New World Order, which we all need, instead of a unipolar world order, an order led by one hegemon.
The philosophies of many minorities who have tried to dominate, it's hegemonistic, it's dominating as an attitude to suppress peoples and nations and finally control or dominate global economy. It's been a misguided policy. It's a misconception of realities. It's misunderstanding of history. Now we see the future is very bright. The future is very bright because of Chinese achievement. China has proven to everybody in the world, the marginalized and those who entertain the ideas of domination, this is no more the rule of the game. People of the world will have to cooperate. The New World Order is an order of cooperation, complementarity, and working together. It's not a world order for domination or hegemony. In spite
Russia against Ukraine, China against Taiwan. What did you make of this document?
Well, I think, Andrew, exactly as you said, there's been very little attention paid to it because we've been so focused on tweets from ministers in Canberra. But it's, as you say, it outlines a new world order. And for Australians,